Mr. Nonsense told him. Mr. Nonsense had no sense at all, not a scrap. I mean, he lived in a chair. A chair? Can you imagine? Why do you live in a chair? Mr. Hepburn asked him one fine spring day, because, replied Mr. Nonsense, I tried living on the ground, but it was too high up, so I moved a chair to be near the ground. What nonsense, snorted Mr. Hepburn. Thank you, said Mr. Nonsense. And you know what Mr. Nonsense liked to eat? Porridge. Nothing wrong with it, you might say, but porridge on toast. Rather. Would you like toast on with porridge? I mean, would you like porridge with toast? Mr. Nurser asked him one day, because, replied Mr. Nonsense, I tried porridge sandwiches, and I didn't like them. And do you know when Mr. Nonsense sleeps every night? In a roaring bird, in his bed, room, in his house, up a chair. Where do you live and sleep in a roaring bird? Mr. Strong asked him one day, because, replied Mr. Nonsense, I tried sleeping in a motor bird, but it was somewhat uncomfortable. Mr. Nonsense, as you might have, I'll expect, lived in a country called Nonsense Land. Now, I know somebody else who lives in Nonsense Land. Do you? That's right, Mr. Silly. Mr. Silly and Mr. Nonsense are close friends, and saw a lot of each other. Mr. Nonsense is often round at Mr. Silly's house playing jigsaw puzzles. They used to throw the pieces at each other. Oh, Silly. And Mr. Silly was often round at Mr. Nonsense's house playing cards. I used to tie them up to see who gets the most pieces. Who could get the most pieces out of one card? What nonsense. However, this story is about the time it snowed in Nonsense Land. It didn't ever often snow, but one winter it did. Now tell me, what colour is snow? No, Nonsense Land, when it snows, it doesn't snow. White snow, it snows yellow snow. Don't ask me why, but it does yellow snow. And when Mr. Silly woke up one winter morning, the whole of Nonsense Land was covered. Yes, say, he said, when he looked out of his bedroom window. Snow! And he was so excited, he rushed round to Mr. Nonsense's house. Mr. Nonsense was asleep in bed. Wake up, cried Mr. Silly. Wake up and come and look out of the window. Whatever on earth is it? Grumbled Mr. Nonsense, rubbing the sleep out of his eyes. Got out of bed and went across to his bedroom window. Yes, say, he said, looking out. Custard. It isn't custard, you silly banana, cried Mr. Nonsense. It's snow. He rushed downstairs. Come on, he called. And that day Mr. Silly and Mr. Nonsense had one of the very best days of their lives. They had a snowball fight. Mr. Silly's snowballs around. Mr. Nonsense made snowballs that somehow or other came out of sort of square. They built a snowman, and ever silly, nonsensical sort of snowman. "Come on," said Mr. Nonsense that afternoon. "Let's go tobogganing." "But we don't have a toboggan," said Mr. Silly. "Oh, no, we don't," declared Mr. Nonsense. Mr. Silly thought. "Oh, yes, we do," he cried. And Mr. Silly went back to Mr. Nonsense's house and came back with his bed. "Whee!" They shouted together as they slid fast and faster down the hill in the very bird toboggan. It was a wonderful day, and that evening, after having supper together, porridge pie, Mr. Nonsense suggested that they play a game. "What shall we play?" asked Mr. Silly. "Droughts," suggested Mr. Nonsense. "They've forgotten how to play droughts," said Mr. Silly. "Oh, it's easy," replied Mr. Nonsense, and went round and opened all the doors and windows. "There we are," he said, "droughts. Whatever strange nonsense."